An innocent slug and it's a seemingly normal move through it. It's amateur so it know but it really no mind. Not too long after, a lizard devours the tiny creature. What why did it do that too long after? A lizard devours the tiny creature. But little does this happy lizard know, it has placed a terrible curse on itself unknowingly. This is a uninfected lizard, a truly gruesome fate, but, how does this happen? I mean, all those weird tentacles and cysts had to come from somewhere. Well, I have a theory. Well, remember how I mentioned the slug cat eating a rotten blue fruit and the lizard eating that slug cat? My theory is that when the lizard does this, the rot in the slug cat's body spreads to the lizard's digestive system. I have prepared a very cool and helpful diagram to explain this. I have marked areas I believe the rot infection had begun in 3 specimens in a red circle, with lines coming out of it to depict the level of the disease. Here we have a slightly infected green lizard. I believe the infection started somewhere in the stomach because it is in the middle of 2 visible cysts. It is important to note that I stretched out all of these specimens so the details were more visible. Here we have an, quote, opossum, unquote, green lizard. I believe the infection started somewhere within the small intestine because it is in the middle of a visible cyst and a tentacle. There is less visible rot on this specimen, implying that the cysts may have retracted into the lizard to, quote, hibernate, unquote, to preserve nutrients for the next stage of growth. This would also explain why this form can suddenly transform into the next stage when hit. Only some of these creatures do that, though. Generally, a slide and an opossum will look the same except for the opossum having a duller color. Here we have a fully infected green lizard. I believe the infection started somewhere within the stomach because it is in the middle of 2 clusters of visible cysts. Now, to find out how the rot spreads, I will discuss the symptoms of infection. First, infected lizard skulls become strained and distorted. This might mean that the rot spreads quickly to the vital cords. All of the specimen I studied seem to have cysts traveling upwards from the root of the infection, which may confirm this. This strange behavior could have the purpose of unfamiliarizing the victim from other lizards, making them more likely to attack, which would be the free meal. Second, infected lizards grow cysts and tentacles like those of and other mobile rot variants. This is too noteworthy, so I'll continue. Finally, infected lizards lose a small amount of their autonomy, something quite interesting I found. However, is that infected yellow lizards will not try to eat their peers, but their tentacles will latch onto them. This implies that the rot and the victim combine into one being with 2 minds that constantly fight for control, like some kind of conjoined twin situation. The yellow lizards will still even share a communication system with their infected brethren. As you can see here, the lizards all chase down the willing test subject like they would normally. Overall, I believe that rot infects a lizard when it eats a creature who has eaten a rot-infected item, with the rot spreading from their stomach to the vital cords and downward, sprouting cysts to eat food via the body with, and ending by partially controlling the lizard's brain and beloading it like a weird flashback. So anyways, now that I have discussed how is going on with this disease, I will now discuss treatment methods. and get his low uber and infector and wall wizard.